Hey, welcome to my new tutorial on log cabin wall construction. My name is Kevin Gallant. My trade name is Gadget MDA, and so we're going to start today by exploring the use of splines. Splines are basically lines that connect rectangles together to create walls. In turn, we extrude and attach the walls together to create a log cabin. And we're going to do a bit of cuts. So the objective today is just to create cabin walls for a cabin. So in front of me is the front viewport max. If you hit F on the keyboard, you can get a grid, and you can see the grid-based array here. So what I'm going to do is start with snap by selecting the snap tool, and in 3D Max there's the creation panel over in the right, and we're going to click the shapes panel and click on rectangle and then do a side of a cabin. We're not going to worry about scale at this point, just concept. And we're going to put a door here, a side, and maybe a couple windows. Now for clarification, you can see it's really hard to see. So I'm going to take grid off by hitting the G key to see the type of windows and styles that we're dealing with. And rectangles are not quite aligned and in size, so you can snap them and move them wherever you want to the grid and get your style that you want. I'm just going to keep the same style, so I'm going to windows, so I'm going to hold down my shift key while moving this one and just create a couple windows instead of just creating a new one. So the concept here is to use splines to create a wall. And normally rectangles are primitive, and if you click select by name, you would see 4 rectangles here. You've got the outer rectangle of the wall and the doors and the windows. So what we're going to do is take snap off here temporarily. And one of the concepts of 3D that's been around for many years is the editable spline. And what we do is, if you right click a primitive rectangle, just right click here, right click, there we go. I have to select these, select key sometimes, right click. One more time. Right click, convert. Oh. Must be a memory problem. Actually, we'll just do it from here, I guess. Right click and then convert to editable spline. There's 3 ways to do it. And if you right click right in the modifier, I've got a lot of things open at once to do this presentation, so it might be that. But anyways, if you collapse these parameter rollouts, there's 5 of them here. And we're going to go into the geometry one. We're going to attach, if you click on attach, we're going to add these splines, the windows and the doors, to this, so they're all one spline. So see how they turn purple? So now they're all one spline. If you go in here, you can actually select the sub spline with attach off and see the highlights of each part of the series here. And remember, this is the front viewport. You hold down Alt W, you can maximize your viewports. And I'm going to work in the large one so you can see it. So I'm going to hit P, which is perspective, and you're going to get a good idea of what's going on here. Because what I'm going to do now this is a cabin outline, we call it. Make sure you always name your objects what they are. And maybe cabin even wall outline. Okay. Now I'm going to add a wall modifier to this. Sorry, extrude modifier, thinking about walls, and you can see that with the amounts going up and down, actually change the depth of the wall. What's great about this is that with the extrude and spline is I can copy this. Okay, just try one more time in the Y direction, and I can actually hold down the rotate and hold down the shift key, make a rotation copy. But notice it's rotating not exactly in snapping, so if you click on angle snap and rotate, watch what happens. Voila. Got a nice 90-degree wall. So we're just going to set them in place here. Just going to do a quick cabin. And just bring these over. So I've got 4 walls. What's great about these cabins, and cabin's not purple, so let's just change this to, I don't know, kind of a brown at least, or darker brown. Anyways, and you know, we've got a lot of line up to do in the walls, but the whole purpose of this here is to explain extrude. And what I want to do is that this is called the modifier stack. And each wall now, if you go, I'm going to hit on the F4 key so you can see the edges, are built out of splines, and they're different cabin walls. At this point, you should save your files, whatever, we'll call it log cabin walls. And so if I go in here, I don't want a door on this side, so I go into the Editable Spline. Now I lost my extrude, and you can keep that on if you hit the show end result toggle. See that? And if you open up the plus and hit spline, you can actually go in there and select the splines and delete them. There's the door gone. You can actually select the window and move it left and right. Pretty cool, eh? Same as this one, so we can go over here, and you can do this for any building. I'm an engineer, and I've been doing this for years for architectural. So I don't want a door on this side. Now you got to be careful that notice I just moved it in. You got to move it sideways. See that? So make sure you're just moving it along the direction of the wall. Now you can constrain that, but it's a little more advanced, and we'll talk about that later. So anyways, there's the walls of a cabin. Now it still doesn't look like a cabin, but basically that's objective 1 today, is to look at spline modeling for a cabin. So let's go to the next method. Now I've got my base design. I'm going to save it again, and always save increments. So I hit the plus key, and it'll add an increment 0, 1. So you'll notice at the top 0, 1 if you see it on the screen capture. So next thing, I want to collapse this not to an Editable Poly, Editable Spline, but an Editable Poly. So I'm going to take my outline 1, the one with the front door or back door, and right click, collapse all. Now instead of doing it this way, I like to do it right click, convert to Editable Poly, but for some reason my screen's not working. Let's try this again. Try this one more time, then I'll have to go to the menu. No, I'll have to do it over here. So I'm going to collapse all, and I'm going to convert to Editable Poly, and you get a few odd pulls. It's from the extrusion of the windows and the door. They pull it to this corner, and we'll have to clean that up. And one of the ways you can clean up, if you go into edge mode, especially if you're doing games, you can remove those edges, not delete, but just remove them, and I'll explain later how they'll work. Now you can't remove it yet. The reason why is that those edges have nothing to tie it to, and what we're going to do is create logs, so we'll remove that in a few minutes. But basically we can attach all the walls together in Editable Poly as one object, and you'll look right now, it's all as cabin walls. Okay? I'll rename it here. So now we've gone from cabin walls that were 2D now to a full game ready cabin. If you hit 7 on the keyboard, it's only 64 polygons. Amazing, eh? So we're going to go into Editable Poly. And one of the tricks I use, if you hold down the control, hit the A key, you can grab all the polygons, or edit, select all, if you want to do it by a menu. Another trick while I'm here, if you select one wall and go edit, select, invert, it'll select everything but that wall. So it's kind of neat. So what we want to do here is actually just select the walls today, because what we're going to do is cut logs, and then we're going to clean up those lines that are there to guide a large polygon there when that did the extrusion. It's a little bit of error, but we can clean that up. Now the big thing is slice plane. Slice plane is my key for cutting logs. It's like my log cutter. And what I want to do is rotate that slice plane. Make sure you have angle snap on, and that will rotate at 90 degrees. And you can see it rotating. And 90 you can see in the bottom on the rotation here. Watch this in the bottom, and you can see the rotation. Now it's hard to see the lines, so I want to hit the function 2 key so you can see the lines. Normally you don't need that, but in this case I really want you to see the logs. So I'm going to do a slice here. If you've got a really old cabin, the logs aren't all the same. I'm going to do a large log so that it just makes it easier for us. And just remember, I only have the logs slice on the outside walls. This particular example, I need the logs, no log showing inside. So, and it saves memory and a lot of issues. So if I look at this cabin, now I've got edges here that I can remove because I've got geometry for the polygons to go to. So I can just go remove and get rid of all that. See it? Remove all that. Remove this. So my geometry has something to go to. So I can clean up all these. In 3D we clean up all the time. And this is just another way to do it. So now that I got my log home construction, it's time now to create my logs. So that's a pretty big stage. I think we should go save as at this point and hit plus again so we're on version 2. So that's my log cabin wall. It's really simple, really fast, and clean. And again, we're only at 110 polygons, which means every little one of these unit is a polygon. I'll go back to F2 so you can see. So now the key is how can I get these to look like logs? Well, if you select all the logs in one, I'll give you an example. Let's just do the front for today tutorial. And you'd have to do every side. You can do it all at once if you wanted to. And I'm going to leave the F2 on for clarity. And I'm in Editable Poly mode under sub polygon selection. I'm going to bevel. I'm going to tell you why I'm beveling. In beveling, if you switch to polygon mode, look what you've got. Bring the distance down. You've got a nice kind of a log display, and you can set up the width of the logs. And then if you click OK, you can click again if you want. Go a little bit further. You can form your shapes of your logs. Now, there are going to be some problems. If you look at the top, so you got to be really careful you don't extrude too much. Watch your distances, and around the windows you might have some problems. So just keep that in mind that you might have to have some cleanup once in a while and try different ways. I'm doing it by local normal so it comes out better here. Now you never do it by group. So now I've got some logs, and I might have to clean up here. And the big thing here is now is that I can go into the sides of these, even though I got two extrusions, and you can go in here and take these here, the ends of the walls, and you can extrude them out. Instead of beveling, you can just go out, and you would go by local normal. Actually, maybe you can go by polygon. No, local normal would be better in this case. And it's a little bit skewed there, so you might want to rotate the group just to get it the way you want. And you know, all logs are random. Whoops, all logs are pretty random anyway, so it'll give you the log cabin feel you want. So I'll take off my hide. So there's my log cabin. You just texture it and fix it up, and that's your 5-minute log cabin walls. Anyways, have fun with it and see what you can produce. That's it from the Gadget MDA.